What's the closest call you've ever had?
To which thing? Dying?
Uh-huh.
I've had a lot of chances to die, for sure. I mean, listen, I've had moments in a lot of different ways. You know, I've been lost at sea where I thought that was it. I've fallen in a cornice on a giant glacier in Russia. I thought that was it. I've been stuck in the bottom of a waterfall in Oregon and pinned on a rock for a while. Thought that was it. I've been held down by a giant wave. Thought that was it. You know, I've had some chances at it. You know, so I have a pretty good relationship with what it feels like to be at the spot where you're going to go, well, this is it. This is it, and then it's not it, and you're thankful.
Was there a wipeout that was the worst, that out of all your instances where, you know, were kind of brushes with death, this was the time where?
Well, I mean, I've had a couple big ones. I've had one foiling where I got pushed down and I was still connected to the board, and I pushed into the black, you know, and was at the bottom of the ocean connected to this sea anchor, and
You pushed into the black?
Yeah, into the
Okay.
black, like it just goes black. Mm-hmm. So you're down there, and part of the reason why it goes black is because the light reflects off the white, mm-hmm. So the white reflects the light, and so it turns completely black. Like, so you're down in the black, in the darkness, and you're standing there on the board, you know, 30 or 40 feet under the water, wondering how it's going to be to get, and if you get back up, is the next one going to land on you? I got hit so hard that it drove me through the water that it split my lips, because my lips were pulled. You know, my skin on my face was pulled, and where it split my lips open.
And to give this context, I read a 70-foot wave would be powerful enough to tear a 50-ton boulder out of the ground and hurl it 150 feet. When you first started tow and surfing, explain how much you practiced rescues.
Well, I mean, a lot of it was out of necessity. I mean, when we first started towing, we were learning about rescue. We were learning about our capacity to endure a wipeout. We in the beginning we didn't have even flotation devices, and we had jet skis that barely went 30, and the waves were going 30. I mean, we were severely handicapped, and so we just learned out of necessity, out of trial and error, and you know, every time you fell, it was a rescue. And the fact is that we had, you know, up until that point, we had been learning how to rescue ourselves without any flotation or any jet skis or anything. When you go out as a big wave rider, in the conventional terms, you paddle out with a board from the land to the ocean. And when a giant wave knocks your board and takes your board to shore, you're just out there with your surf shorts on, like, okay, I got to come back to shore. And that's the beginning of water rescue. You rescue yourself. I mean, at one point we had the fire department say, somebody goes, hey, what are you guys going to do if those guys need to be rescued? And they go, well, if they don't rescue themselves, we're not going to be able to rescue them. You know, I mean, that's, you know, like that's kind of what's happening. Like, you're in a spot where it's like, you know, I think, and when you see anybody doing, you know, anything at a certain level, you're pretty much on your own.
But what are the processes you put in place for making sure, if you do wipe out, that you're as protected as you possibly can be?
A combination of a super tight relationship with your partner. First of all, right away, knowing that the guy will actually come to you and get you in a critical place, which means he's got to put himself on the line.
Because he's on the jet ski.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So he's got a risk, because he could just drive away, and I've had that.
Oh, you have?
Absolutely. I've had my friend just like drive the other way, and I'm like, come and get me, I'm going to drown.
What was the situation?
It was just the nature of the situation, that he was fearing for himself, and he didn't have the capacity to override that and just put himself on the line, and you don't know who those people are, who the people are that won't or will, until you get in that situation.
And in that instance, when your friend goes the other way, what are you thinking?
You'll have a different relationship after that for a long time. Maybe never the same. You'll like him, he'll be a friend of yours, but you won't look at him the same.
What did you guys discuss right after?
It was almost undiscussable. It was almost because you can't get him to undo what he did, and so once he did that, I was incapable of trusting him again, like in that way, and so that just kind of created it just made our relationship what normal friendships are like. This really, it's pretty superficial because you never really get tested. But I have friends that I've gained, I have other guys that have come in that weren't really friends of mine and put themselves on the line, and I'm like, yeah, you're my buddy and you'll always be my friend for the rest of my life, even if I don't relate to you like I did to the other guy that didn't pick me up. So, but first of all, the trust in one another, having a teamwork when you get in these bigger conditions, be physically fit, that you're physically and have the capacity to be able to endure the wipeout. Because everybody every great surfer can catch a wave and ride it and make it. It's who can take the beating, who can make a mistake and wipe out and take the pounding and then come up and do it again. That's the more difficult part of it.